I've made no qualms about the fact that Chandler and I do not like each other. We don't like each other. Hate's a strong word. We don't like each other. Okay, that's bottom line. And I'm going to die on that hill. I don't give a shit what people think about it. But in no way what I said the other day did it have any impact on how I feel about where he was headed. And we'll talk about that fight as we get into it.
Well, you thought he was going to win.
I mean, I had moments where I was like, yeah, I talked about him. You and I were texting back and forth, and I was like, man, Paddy going 5 kind of scares me. You know, I mean, like we've seen him.
But what did I tell you?
But how much weight does he cut? That's the thing that scared me about Paddy is he cut so
much. He looked good.
He did. He looked fantastic.
He looked
fantastic.
Cool. Okay, this is the one that you thought Chandler was going to win. And I went, you crazy.
So here's the thing. So look, what I said, and this is what's great about this thing is I can say whatever I want on the podcast on midweek show. And I exposed a lot of what we saw tonight was Michael Chandler. He's got 1 foot out the door. This is not bagging on him in terms of I don't like him. This is the reality is he is done. He is washed. He is somebody that he's literally made so much money. He's got 1 foot out the door. And everything I said, we saw tonight. I saw that in the Charles Oliveira fight, and I pointed that out. I was very clear. The Michael Chandler that we knew that was very comfortable with constantly fighting hands, constantly trying to spin inside the body lock, all of those things we had seen multiple times against world-class fighters of him doing that. And in this situation, literally settling on the bottom, literally just being comfortable, just hanging out on his hands and knees, just with no wrist control, just kind of hanging there and letting himself get hit. Those are the things that when I'm watching as a fighter, he's checked out. There's no push. You can train as hard as you want. You can look as ripped and shredded as you want. It does not help your mental when you're inside that cage. You know, mentally it makes you feel like I've got this. I did all the hard work. I'm ready to go. But when you get out there, it's not there. You know, and I didn't like people were going to say, oh, I was bagging on him. No, I was pointing out the obvious. You know, and John, you were texting me and say like he just doesn't want it anymore. And I go, yeah, that's what my point was on Tuesday. I thought, honestly, because Paddy cut so much weight, I go, look, if this fight gets into round 3, 4, and 5, I could see Chandler start trying to like really kind of impose his will. And also, I was like, the way that Chandler dips and comes over the top and the way that Paddy keeps his chin straight up, I was freaking out that first 2 rounds, actually. I was like, geez, man. This is going to be brutal if he catches him with a big shot. But Michael has slowed down. There's not 1 or 2. It's just 1 or 2 punches, I should say. And it's not 3s and 4s, John. And look, if I'm going to place this bet, I placed it on Chandler to go, hey, I thought for sure after rounds, he'd catch him either early with a big shot because the chin in the air, or as the fight went on, fighting for the last 12, 13 years, 5-round fights, he would start to like settle in and take a step back, bounce around, put more pressure. It's not in him anymore. There's no drive, John. Like you can look the part, you can train as hard as you want in the gym, but did you see the way he was in the corner with Henry Hooft? Henry's talking to him. He had no reaction, John. There was nothing there. When your fighter has nothing, like
how many times have I talked about when you see a fighter that doesn't look at his trainer, doesn't look him in the eyes, doesn't pay attention to when the words are coming out of their mouth and is looking at other things, doing it, they're checking out. They're figuring out a way to get out of the fight. And that's what you saw. And it's not no disrespect at all. Michael Chandler is a hell of a fighter. But even in the first round, there was a moment where you could look at him in that fight and he was like, uh-oh, damn, it's happening again. And, you know, you're sitting there, saying the whole thing about, you know, you were worried about with Paddy just chin up in the air. There wasn't a moment, and I'm being honest when I say it, that I was looking going, oh, Chandler has him in trouble. Even when Chandler was on top of him, he's just wrestling. I mean, and at least I was like, well, at least he's wrestling. That's a smart move. Not the best with the guy you're doing it with because he's pretty goddamn slick off the ground, but okay, at least you're trying to go back to what is that base that made you the fighter that you were. But he went straight back to being the guy that bounced in and out, straight ahead, straight back, linear movement. He's an easy target. And Paddy, I thought, for the most part, did a fantastic job of just waiting, sitting there, putting steps on, gauging the distance, waiting for him to get within range, and bap, bap, he would hit him. Bip, 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 with the jab would hit him. Kicks, boom. He just was systematically breaking him down. And then when he got the opportunity to open it up a little bit, especially on the ground, Paddy did some damage.
Yeah.
Paddy opened up. The elbows were beautiful.
The new change of the rules, the 12-6 elbows is money. Tonight was the first night that I saw in several fights that they were being used effectively.
Yeah.
And to the point where, like, man, this was making, and like you've said many a times, if you want to keep fighting, just throw punches. If you want the ref to stop it, throw elbows.
There you go.
And that's what we saw tonight. A lot of the 12-6 elbows, and whether they were getting through or not, was leading to some horrible stoppages. But we'll get to that later.
We'll get to that.
But it just came down to, I saw effectively tonight the 12-6 elbows being used and used wonderfully. I thought they were amazing. It changed the dynamic of the fight. It made it look nasty. Like, oh man, that looks horrible. Whether they landed clean or not, it still just looks bad, on top of that. But I thought it was very effective the way that Paddy was landing those 12-6 on Chandler.
Then let's start from this one, because this one was stopped. Was this a good stoppage?
Oh, absolutely.
Paddy, absolutely beautiful stoppage by Kerry Hadley.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
I mean, look, the groundwork's been laid for Michael Chandler. We know how good he is. We know his history. We know he can take damage. We know, like, he's getting older. That's very. And I'm not gonna bag on him and shit on him. I had a lot to say about him on Tuesday. The bottom line is everything I said was true. It's factual. Like, one foot out the door. Fighters, we see it in each other. We just, people don't talk about it because it's kind of a dick move to do. Then maybe that's where I got into, we don't like each other, and I allowed myself to say that shit. Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, you guys. I'm very, like, this is the way I've always been. You don't think I got the nickname The Punk for a reason? Like, it's for a reason. I've had these same conversations with some of my closest friends at AKA. Closest friends. It's time for you to retire. It's time, or like, hey, you're being lazy. You're not working on this. I mean, that's what led to me getting into fisticuffs with Mike Kyle, with Phil Baroni. Phil Baroni fucking lived with me when I got into fisticuffs. We both had to ride home in the same car fucking after we started throwing down. Things like that.
So what would your advice to Michael Chandler be?
You have a beautiful family.
Yep.
You have lots of money.
Yep.
You live in Nashville. No income tax.
Great life.
Still
got a lot of sponsors.
Right off into the sunset. You should probably still have a lot of sponsors. No matter how I feel about him, and I know I say it, but like, I'm not bagging on him. I thought, look, it was a tough fight. He's where I'm at when I fought Tony. He's where I was at when I fought Tony, and now he's in that position against someone like Paddy. Paddy's on his rise, and Paddy looked good tonight. Like I said, all the things that scared me about Paddy was the chin in the air, the amount of weight he cuts because he balloons up so much on the offside.
Boy, did he not look bigger by far?
He looked huge.
I mean, it was like you looked and you went, yeah, because let's be honest, Chandler is a specimen when it comes to the amount of muscle he carries and everything he's put together. He's solid. He looks small, compared to Paddy.
Well, Johnny's 5'2".
He's not 5'2". 5'2". Okay.
5'2.5". I look, but you asked me. Let me ask you: where does Chandler go from here? And then, what do you think should be next for Paddy?
I'm being honest with Michael Chandler. It's time to pull the plug, and that's okay. That's everybody is going to come to this moment. If you're a fighter, if you're an official, it's going to come to that moment, and it's better for you to be the one that's in control of that moment and making the decisions than it is for the promoter to tell you, yeah, we're done with you. That one's going to hurt. It's always good when you can sit there and say, man, you know what? I've given it everything I have. And obviously at this point, I don't want to be fighting in the prelims. I don't want to be fighting the younger guys and letting them try to get a name off of me. It's time for me to go help other people or find another career or whatever it is you're going to do. And that would be my suggestion to Michael at this point, because you can absolutely, like, if I showed you Michael Chandler, 5 years ago, he's a different fighter than the Michael Chandler that we saw tonight.
Yeah.
And that's just time. It's just what happens with fighting and age and, damage. And he's had some damage in this sport, and it catches up to you. And now he's at that point. So That's what I would like to see. I don't know what he's going to do. He's going to have to figure it out. But for Paddy Pimblett, he was calling out some big names there. He's calling out, Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Charles Oliveira. I honestly, Arman Tsarukyan would be the one that I would want to put Paddy against. I know you're looking and you're saying, well, but you can see him going up against Charles. To me, that's a fight that's going to be difficult because Charles matches him well everywhere. Mm-hmm. And Dustin Poirier, same thing, matches him well everywhere. So Gaethje's going to be where it's going to be, can Justin keep it on the feet and outsling him, or does Paddy get him to the ground and submit him? So that's the real question there. But if you look and say, look, I want people that are going to be champions. He's still young, and I want him to fight. If he's going to lose to somebody, lose to the guy that I'm not then going to put in the championship role, as the challenger, Tsarukyan. I know they're mad with Tsarukyan, but they'll get past it. And Paddy against Tsarukyan would be a hell of a fight.
You're ready to jump him all the way to number one?
Yeah. If you're going to say, is Tsarukyan number one?
He is on the rankings.
The other guy that I honestly think would be a good matchup with him would be Gamrot. I think Gamrot would be a difficult fight for him, though. And I'm not sure that I want him to lose to Gamrot. So
but like they're basically the same, Gamrot and Tsarukyan.
Yeah, Tsarukyan's, again, he's younger. He's the future. And he is the future, no matter what you want to say. Like he's that skilled, and he's that young. He's I want to say he's 4 or 5 years younger than Paddy. So he's the guy you got to look and say, who's going to be the one that's going to be, pressing that edge on capturing the belt or holding the belt. You got to say that he's one of them.
Yeah. I mean, look, I wouldn't want him to fight Gamrot. That'd be going backwards. You just beat Michael Chandler. I understand where you're at on that, though. Potentially, I know going backwards would also be, or not really, fighting someone like a Dan Hooker would be fun.
Yeah, but doesn't make sense. I like the fight, but it doesn't make sense if you're Paddy.
Why? Dan's ranked higher than him.
Not anymore.
Oh, absolutely is. Chandler's number 7. Hooker's number 6.
Hooker's number 6.
Yeah.
I bet Paddy is going to be somewhere right in that 5-6 spot.
Yeah, so that makes perfect sense. You have him fight the guy that's right there. I get what you're saying. I do understand. Like the Armand thing, I think that all comes down to how mad are they at Armand.
That's exactly it.
That's really what it comes down to.
It really does.
So, and then what about and then where does Chandler's just done? You're ready to wrap that up.
There comes a point.
Yeah.
What's better? Is it better to do something like, Tony Ferguson, who had his moment where, he was like Paddy or he was like Chandler and just coming up and beating all these people. And then all of a sudden it starts to leave, but I'm going to have another fight. I'm going to have another fight. I'm going to have another fight.
He called Dana and tried to come back.
I know.
Just a couple days ago.
And it's like, you got to understand, there comes a time you've got to put that car away. It's done. It's not going to win the race. And at this point, Michael Chandler's there unless he wants to fight on prelims.
This episode is brought to you by BetUS. Make sure you guys YouTube 150 for the promo code. Also, Element, use the link in the descriptions down below. Any product you buy from there, they will send you a bonus package of product if you use our link down below. Element's amazing, man. I love it. And I want to say thank you, man. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us.